Hello and welcome to my kitchen here at Trails N62. I'm going to be doing some corn on the cob today. I do like corn on the cob. Now the best way to do corn on the cob is of course to freeze it. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm also going to be trying to can some corn on the cob. I know that sounds funny, right? But what I'm looking for is those little discs of corn like what you see in gumbo and Cajun dishes and things like that. So I'm going to try canning some of those. We'll see how it goes. But first of all, I'm going to freeze some. And either way, if you decide you want to pressure can corn, you have to first get the corn. I get mine in the husk. You have to dehusk it. You have to take the silks off of it and all that kind of good stuff. And then if you're going to can the corn, you have to take the corn off the cob. There are a lot of different ways to do that. They have a little gizmo that does that. You can do it with a knife. But I'm going to do corn on the cob. And then I'm going to try canning some little corn on the cob circles, discs, that I use in Cajun cooking with some crawdads or shrimp or something like that. But first you have to take the husk off, take all the silks off. You got to clean it good, take the silks and everything off, cut out the bad spots and that sort of thing. And then you got to cut the ends off. See, I've cut the ends off. I've take the husk off and everything. Some of these are some that I grew in my garden. I do have some corn that I planted. Generally, when you plant corn in your garden, you'll get one or two. If you're really lucky, you get three. But a lot of times, at least half of them will have two. I don't plant a lot of corn. I've tried it before, planted a lot of corn, and I canned it. But I've still got some of that left. But it's been a couple years since I've canned any corn, or grew any corn either. But I grew some this year, just you know, maybe a dozen or so corn plants and get some corn off of. So I've got right now, I've got 7, 8, I think 8 ears are from my garden, and then I got 10 ears I bought at the store. One of those was bad, and frankly mine that I grew in my garden was a lot better than what I got at the store. But they were cheap. This is the time of year for it. They're starting to get ripe, and corn on the cob is cheap. So I've got it, and I like to cut mine because I like my corn on the cob. I do them like this. I can put them in a pot and heat them up, and just I take one of the skewers and I just stick it in the end of it, so I just eat it with one rather than have to use two for a long piece. And they're easier for me this way. I like them better this way. So I cut them like this, and then I'll take and I'll cut these maybe in the thirds, depends on how big they are, maybe just in half, and try canning some of those, probably in a quart jar to make sure I get enough. You won't get very many of those in a pint, but I'll try canning some of those, see how that works out. But these I'm going to freeze. Corn has to be blanched before you freeze it or before you can it. Now I've seen several different things on this, on corn on the cob. There's one that says blanch it 2 to 3 minutes. And make sure you turn it every minute or so, so you keep every part of it gets blanched. One says 3 to 4 minutes. Another one even says 7 minutes for small cobs, 9 minutes for medium cobs, 11 minutes for large cobs. So it's kind of ambiguous as to how long you actually blanch it. Now blanching is the process where you put it in boiling water, leave it there for a little bit, and then you take it out of there and you put it into ice water. And that stops the cooking process. The blanching stops the enzyme action in the product. So if you take it from boiling water into cold water and you get it cooled down in there. Now for freezing corn, after you cool it down, you'll need to let it set, dry, put it on paper towels or a towel and dry it off so that it dries a little bit, because when you freeze it, you don't want ice crystals forming on it. But the blanching process, I'm going to do it for 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. I'm going to compromise and do it for 4 to 5 minutes, mainly because it's on the cob. I don't think I need to do it as long as 7, 9, or 11 minutes, like that one place did. Most of them we're looking at a 3 to 5 minute range. So somewhere in there, maybe 4 minutes, somewhere around in there, I'm going to blanch them for that amount of time, put them in the cold water, and then let them dry off before I freeze them. So my water's boiling, and I'm going to be putting my corn in it. Set my timer, 5 minutes. I'm just going to be doing 10 of these at a time. I've got 20 of them that I'm going to do, and then I've got the rest of them I'm going to try pressure canning. So once these been in there for 5 minutes, then I will put them into the ice water. There's my time. So I will take them out. Put them in the ice water. And this will stop the cooking process. Now I'll let those sit in the ice water for just a few minutes here. Let them cool off while I get the other batch in. Now once I take them out of the ice water, and I leave them in there for 3-4 minutes, you know, you like to get them cool. You want to get them cool. And I'll put them out here on a towel and let them dry. Cover a towel over them, kind of roll them back and forth like this. Get the moisture off of it, because you want to get as much moisture off of it as you can. And then after I do that, then I will take them and set them up on the ends like this. And that helps drain them off also and helps them cool better. So they get nice and cool. And then once they're cooled there, then I'll put them on a parchment paper lined cookie sheet, and I'll put them in the freezer. To flash freeze them is what they call it. I'll put them in there, let them freeze a couple hours, 3 hours or so, and then I'll take these and I'll put them in a seal-a-mill bag and seal them up by portions. Now the ones I'm going to can, I blanched those also and put them in the ice water, and then I cut them after they cooled down. And so I will heat these back up when I can them, because it's going to go into hot water, and I'm going to be saving my canning water, the juice here that I canned them in, and I'll be saving that to fill my jars. You know, I don't know how many I'll get out of this. I might try them in a pint first, a wide mouth pint, see how many fit in there, or I might do them in quarts. We'll just see how it works out. But this is what I'm going to have, and so I'm just kind of draining them right now, because I'm going to be putting them up in the refrigerator till I'm ready to can them, because I have to go to the dentist today. So when I get back from the dentist, we'll continue this on. The other ones are in the freezer, by the way, so I'll be taking those out when I get back from the dentist, and I'll be bagging those up in the seal-a-mill. And I'm back. Well, I had the corn that I'm going to can, put in the refrigerator, and I left the water on the stove, covered it, and it was still warm when I got back, so I put the corn into it just to warm it up so that the corn wouldn't be cold. I didn't heat it so that it was hot enough to be cooking it, but just so that it warm it up, take the chill off of it, because I'm going to put it in warm jars, and I'm going to be using that liquid heated up to put it on top of it to fill it up to 1-inch head space. Then I'll be processing these, and I decided to go ahead and use pints. I tried it and see what would fit in there, and I think that's probably all we'll need for one serving, is what will fit in a pint. If we need more, we'll open 2 of them. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll put these in pints. I've got my pints in warm water right now, so they'll be warm. I'll put my corn in it, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I was able to get 5 in most of them. A couple of them I got 6 in. So I have five pints here, and I have three left over, and I'll just freeze those. So I got 5 pints. I put a half a teaspoon of salt in them. That's just for flavor. It doesn't have to be in there for the processing. And I will wipe these lids, or wipe these rims put the lids on them, cap them, put them in the canner. And pints are 55 minutes for corn. I think it's 85 minutes for quarts, but pints I believe are 55 minutes. And so I'll get those put in. We'll get those canned up. So I'm going to cover them. Sorry, back up here just a little bit. I'm going to cover them with the hot liquid that I used to blanch the corn in to 1 inch of headspace, and then I will cap them, clean them, cap them, and put them in the pressure canner. Corn on the cob in. As always, wipe your rims, debubble. Make sure that you put them on the rings on finger tight, not too loose, just finger tight. And they're in there ready to go, and it'll be 55 minutes for pints, 85 for quarts on corn. And we will set it on high. First we'll plug it in. Make sure we're on exhaust. Then we'll punch it on high. Time will be 55 minutes. And it's ready to go. Now while that's cooking, canning, I will take my corn out of the freezer and put it in the seal-a-meal bags and freeze it. And there you have it, the corn frozen. I put 4 in a package. That'd be 2 each. And it's ready to go in the freezer. Be good for, they say probably flavor about 6 months, but it should last a year in the freezer. I don't know if it'll last that long, but there it is. And we've got our little corn on the cob for Cajun dishes, jambalaya and gumbo and whatever we use it for. I've got some crawfish in the freezer and going to mix it with that. Some potatoes and onions and carrots, and ooh, making my mouth water. So here are my 5 jars of canned corn on the cob in the little rounds. I'll be using these in cooking Cajun, and put those in there. They should be cooked, ready to go. Just heat them up. I've got my corn on the cob in the freezer, and then I have these here. There you have it, corn on the cob, pressure can and froze. Well, that's it, corn on the cob. We'll try it out and see how it works. Thanks for watching. Till next time, from my house to your house, from my kitchen to your kitchen. God bless.